Good evening, everybody, and welcome to One on One with Unc. I am your host, Unc. The other day, I posted a. Ooh, sorry about that. The other day, I posted a quote, and the quote is: "Everyone has a chapter that they don't read out loud," meaning that we all have a story that we don't want to tell, be it because of shame or you don't want to be judged. But tonight, my guest has a story to share, and he is more than happy to share his story. His name is Shawn Flynn. He is the founder of Socially Winning Marketing, which is a social media marketing company. He is also a mental health advocate, a proud father, a proud husband, and also a rescue dad of 4 dogs. However, Shawn recently, well, back in November 2021, he celebrated 1 year of sobriety. And tonight he is here to tell his story, share his journey with anybody who is willing to listen. So without further ado, Mr. Shawn Flynn.
Hey, what's up, Unc? That was a good
Thank you,
intro,
Shawn.
man.
Well,
A good
thank
intro.
you.
You nailed that.
I've been practicing it.
I know you would, man.
How you doing this evening?
Doing good. Doing good.
That's good. That's good. Now, I'd asked you earlier about your dad, and so he's managing and holding on.
Managing, he's fighting. He's got a lot of people praying for him. That's one of the positives of social media, is that
Oh yeah,
he's got people praying and pulling for him all over. People that he knows,
well,
people
great.
that he doesn't know. So we just, he's a fighter. Fighters fight. So let's keep going.
Yeah, yeah. And how about you? Let's hear about Shawn. Now, your early life. What where you from? And how did you get to become the founder of Socially Winning?
I mean, I know we got like an hour, but this will take a week. So I'll give you the quick version. Right. So I live in Maine.
Okay.
I've lived elsewhere, but I live in Maine. I grew up in Maine. I grew up in a small town, Buxton, Maine. If anybody knows, which of course you do or should, the movie Shawshank Redemption. There's a scene in Buxton, Maine. That's the little sneaky thing there. So
Okay.
yeah, it's cool. But yeah, so small town Maine. Went down to Boston for a little while. Went to school down around the Boston area. I lived down there for like 8 years. Ended up back in Maine. My story's crazy, man. My childhood was good. I had a good childhood. Loving parents. Obviously, we just talked about my dad.
Right.
I have two older brothers. We got along well. I mean, we fought like any other siblings would fight, but all in all,
Of course.
I behaved well, man. Go figure, right? So talk about a year. I just hit. I don't even know where I'm at now. Almost 500 days, but hit a year in November, like you said. And it's funny, man, because this stuff doesn't discriminate, and it doesn't necessarily have to start in childhood or in teenage years. Because, like I said, I behaved. I didn't drink
Right.
until I think junior year in college.
Wow.
Yeah, I was pretty straight-laced growing up. I was a good kid, and life kind of happened, and that's what led me down that. When I was down in the Boston area, was doing real estate down there. I was drinking pretty heavy at that time, but I was early 20s, and met my ex-wife. I'm remarried. Kylie is my current and final wife, I promise. Right, Kylie?
Okay.
She says, hopefully. She's in the background. Me and Kylie been together. Kylie, how long have we been together? 2011. So 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Little side note. I talk about this all the time, and I am blessed. And I'll talk about why Kylie is my angel here on earth. is a big part of my story. It was her coming into my life because I was in a really bad spot. But man, I am so lucky and blessed to have her in my life. Like literally, I mean, we talk about this, and it's kind of sad for the rest of the world, I guess, but awesome for us. Like we actually like each other. We're always saying that, like we genuinely like each other, you know, and like there's never a day that like we don't want to be around each other, and that's good for us. But it's sad because you know I just feel like a lot of relationships, a lot of marriages, that's not the case. You know, you might put up with somebody, but they get on your nerves or like whatever. But like no, we genuinely like each other, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, we want to talk. If we want to talk about the dark times. Long story short, first marriage didn't work out. My oldest child was from that marriage, and went through divorce, went through bankruptcy, and that, in a nutshell, is where I was already a heavy drinker. See, I'm competitive, and once I started drinking in college, and I had that competitive gene in me. I mean, I was that dude at the party that was trying to outdrink everybody.
Outdrink everybody. Okay.
Everybody. Like, how many drinks you had? Like, I'm like, you know, I picked the biggest guy in the room, and I'm like, I'm gonna outdrink you, man. And I'm like, just constantly like egging people on, drink more, and I'm like, just making sure I'm the one that's drinking the most. And so I had it in my genes, in my DNA, whatever, to be that way with alcohol. And you know, when you mix that with really difficult life just happening, it's not good, man. I went through a really, really bad depression and just dark times, man. I bankruptcy, evicted from multiple apartments. I mean, sheriff's knocking on my door, constantly getting served papers for court summonses for just bad debts and like. Just awful. And, you know, I didn't, it hit me hard. It rocked my world. And alcohol was my way out. I mean, I remember mornings where, you know, I'm waking up, and I had my 9-to-5 type job back then. And, you know, I remember I had mornings waking up at 5 a.m. with my face on the floor and my feet on the couch, not this couch, because trust me, I couldn't have had this house back then. But literally, like, you know, I mean, just like picture like whatever scene from whatever movie with whatever deadbeat drunk. I see that, you know, nicely, obviously, because I was there. I could say it. And that was me, man. It just wasn't a good look. And even though me and Kylie, my wife now, you know, like I said, we're best friends and we get along and we love each other. You know, alcohol was a part of our whole relationship. We both drank, and we you know, we fought. You know, there were issues there with that. We kissed and make up the next day, but you know, alcohol was a huge part of our everyday life. She's sober now too, by her own path. You know, it's something she found. I made sure. You know, I was when I got to be where I'm at, and when I found sobriety, and blessed to do so, you know, I made it very clear to her that, hey, you know, this is a me thing. Like, this is my journey. Like, don't think you need to do this. You ever want to do this, that's on you. You can do that on your own. And she did that. You know, she found her way on her own choice. People see me and all the sober stuff that I post, and they assume, oh, she's sober. Shawn, no, 100% her. And I'm proud of her. And I also wouldn't hold it against her if she didn't. But that was another big piece of it too, is that our whole relationship, you know, because this is just a year ago. Like I said, we've been together for 11 years. And so the first 10 years of our relationship were, you know, alcohol played a huge factor. And that was a big part of the challenge for me, with knowing that I needed to quit, knowing that I needed to make life changes, knowing that I needed to get my stuff together. A big piece of it was the fear of, a big piece of what got in the way of me getting there was the fear of like our relationship would change. Because even though alcohol fueled a lot of stupid fights, like stupid, I mean, we would we would fight. Sometimes it would more nights than not. But just stupid shit. Apologies for the French or whatever.
It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah, just stupid. You know, like I said, next morning we wake up and be like, what? And like, you know, we'd be good. But, you know, it was a big piece of it was like, you and I have been together. I don't know what the soul is with you. And I hope that, you know, we can still have fun together. That was a big piece of it.
Right.
Not going to be fun for you anymore. You know, there's a big piece that went into it. So I feel like I'm going to let you steer the ship.
Now, you know what? Now, I just was going to say,
I'm like, childhood,
divorce. Yeah, I mean, you're doing fine. You know, you're Shawn, you're all right. But it seemed as though alcohol was a part of the family. It was like,
100%.
You know, it's like it's you, it's her, and it's alcohol, and it's all like, you know. And if you eliminate the alcohol, it's like, you know, what are we gonna do? And now, as far as the sobriety, I've heard that, or I've seen where it's you very rarely get it on the first shot. Correct. So I guess my question is, how many times did you say enough is enough, and you're like, okay, you quit for a little while, and then life happens again?
There were, I mean, I've known. And again, I've been drinking heavy since I was 22. And I know some people's story, they've been like, I've been drinking since I was 12. Again, I'm fortunate that wasn't my case because I probably wouldn't be here. But from, you know, the age of 22 to 36, 14 years, I was just like, or not even 22. Who am I kidding? 20. So it was over 15 years. Right. I was 20 when I was junior in college. But yeah, like just part of my life for that entire time. In early 20s, late 20s, you know, I don't think I ever really thought that. I don't think the thoughts that like, man, I need to not do this anymore, or I need to cut back. I really don't think those crept in until maybe first thoughts in my late 20s, maybe. But for sure, early 30s, because it was a span of at least 5 years, 5+ years, maybe even 10. Because it's hard, you know. Different times in your life, you say, that was stupid. I shouldn't drink anymore. I should drink less. But actually being like, shit needs to change.
Right.
It was probably early 30s, and you know, I tried a number of times. We both did. Different rules, you know. We're only going to drink on the weekends. 2 drinks a night. It never works. And for some people, and maybe for some people it can. And you know, and I'm not like, I personally view alcohol as a drug, and I think it's awful. I think it destroys lives. That said, I mean, I know it destroys lives, but that said, I'm not the one that's going to be, you know, I don't judge anybody. You know, and there is something, you know, alcohol destroys lives of people that can't control it. And there are people that can. Like, I'm jealous of them. That must be nice. Like, there are people that legitimately can be like, yeah, I only drink wine on holidays. I have 1 glass. And like, man, I'll much love to you, and I'm happy that you have that. But that's not me. You know, I'm the
right. It's all or none.
All or none, right? So. Yeah, as far as trying to quit goes, a lot of times. There was one like actual legitimate attempt that failed, and then there were a lot of mini attempts. But the one attempt was 2019, and that sucked. You know, because I put it out there. You know, it's one thing with social media and putting stuff out there. I mean, you do it for accountability. I do it because, I mean, I manage social media. It's what I do. I put myself out there. Like you said, I'm a big mental health advocate, and I'm a firm believer in, let's just air it out, man. Let's just be open. Let's talk about things. So I'm an open book. I put everything out there. Probably some things I shouldn't. I am a business owner. I do have a lot of clients. I'm connected to all of them all over social media, you know, and I was always that like, man, I keep talking about depression. I keep talking about being sober. Guess what? Nobody's ever dropped me. right? So
Right.
I air it out.
Well,
But the main reason why I do that is it's the accountability piece is nice, but I do it because I know that there's so many people out there that are watching. And my favorite Spider-Man quote: "Great power comes great responsibility." You know, and if I have a superpower, it's in the social media realm. It's reaching people. It's getting in front of people. So if you have the platform, you should do good with it. That's my personal belief. That's why I put it out there. So rewind 2019, the first time I tried to quit, for real. I made it. I think I made it 2 or 3 months, and that was like a big thing. And then I slipped, and then I fell. You know, and fell hard. And that was right. It was just right before COVID. And I got hit hard because not only did I slip up with that just before COVID, but then when COVID hit, my business got rocked because, you know, majority of my clients are in the restaurant business. And it's no secret that the restaurant world got absolutely slaughtered during COVID. I mean, I tell you, it's one of those things where I just like so many, and I tell the story now, and I consider myself beyond blessed because I didn't lose. You know, I didn't lose everything. I managed to fight through it, and so many people lost their life's work. I mean, so many small businesses got shut down. Like, so it pains me. I almost feel guilty sometimes, like being like the pity story of, oh, I almost lost all my business because I didn't, and I bounced back, and I know that people did lose it. So I always try to throw that out there. But with all that said, man, you know, I've been growing my business for a long time, and becoming a business owner, becoming a successful business owner, it's not an overnight thing. You know, people see it, and they see maybe lifestyle change. Bought this nice house. People, you know, and it's like, oh, this Flynn dude kind of came up out of nowhere. But man, it's a lifetime in the making, and it was years of even with all the alcohol and bullshit that I was going through on my own, I was still pushing myself. I was still teaching myself. I was still, you know, up at 2:00 in the morning, even when I had 9 to 5 sales jobs, just like consuming, you know, all any and all knowledge I could. I had 10 failed business attempts before this one took off. So with all that said, having just slipped up with my sobriety, and then COVID hit, and I woke up one morning and literally 80% of my business was just gone. I mean, I had like 20 emails, just restaurant owners like, hey, sorry, Shawn, you know, got shut down. I mean, what can you do? And I literally like lost almost everything overnight. And that wasn't good, you know, for somebody that had just slipped up with the sobriety and then having this hit, man, I went hard. You know, I remember COVID hit, most people were going to the grocery store to wipe out toilet paper and pasta and canned goods. Yo, I had a shopping cart full of alcohol, all the rums, all the way, like everything, and I was loving it. And the clerks checking out were like, "Man, I want to come hunker down with you." I'm like, "Yeah, come on over, man." But that's kind of effed up. Looking back at it, literally, I mean, I took pictures of it and I bragged about it, like, "Hey, you know, quarantine prepping or whatever," and like that was a huge piece of coat, man. It was ugly. It wasn't good, and not good at all. And I over that next year, somehow managed to keep my business afloat. Somehow managed to hold things together, but it wasn't good. And what finally did it for me, you know, was unfortunately too many rock bottoms happening. Right. Now you don't hit rock bottom till you hit rock bottom, and I didn't hit.
And everybody has a different rock bottom.
And I'm lucky because I didn't hit rock bottom, but these little mini rock bottoms started happening closer and closer and closer together. And the last one that happened was no joke. Somehow, by the grace of God or whoever, still here, not behind bars. I should be. And somebody was watching over me, and I just knew, like, that shit can't happen again. Like,
it's time to do something.
It's time. It was hard, man. And, I woke up that morning and I bawled, I cried. Again, one of the reasons why I'm so blessed to have Kylie is that, the way, and I talk vague about this incident because of legal crap, but you can piece
it's understandable.
But that in the realm of what I'm
yeah.
talking about, there's about 5 things that it could be, and you get it. You can piece it together. But I woke up that morning and I just cried, and I told my wife I needed help. I said, I can't do this on my own. I need help. Like, I need help. And I got so mad because she was being so nice and kind to me, and she shouldn't have been. I didn't do anything to her. I want to make sure I get that out there. That's if one of the 5 things you're worried about was me like hitting her. None of that. Wasn't that. So you can scratch that one off the list. But that said,
okay.
She still should not have been nice to me, and yet there she was, doing everything for me. I mean, she just, I'll never forget that moment. I'll never forget that day. And I knew in that moment that like I had to do it, not just for me and obviously my family, but for her because of what she did for me and showed me, and just unconditional love that she gave me when I didn't deserve it. And that's when it finally stuck, because I didn't want to find out what that next rock bottom looked like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this, because you'd think that would do it. A week later, I drank. But there's a little bit of magic behind that, and a lesson to be learned, because that morning, that was rock bottom. And I broke down. I cried. I said I needed help. I said, I can't do this. Something needs to change. Week later, I caved. Now, this happened a week before Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Something magical happened that week. And though it sucks that I caved, but something magical happened that week, because Halloween night is when I caved. A week after I said I was done, because I didn't want to see another rock bottom. Halloween night, we're doing trick-or-treating. A lot of the adults have their little, they give out, alcoholic beverages or little Jello shots or whatever to the grown-ups as they trick-or-treat. It's a common thing, at least around here. And it's a happy thing. It's whatever. And this is where that fear of missing out, or fear of not being able to have fun with my wife, or having my wife not view me as fun anymore. And again, she was doing her thing. I didn't hold it against her. So like, she was partaking, and I was good during trick-or-treating. I was good. I didn't cave. But it's Halloween night. I'm watching my wife have a couple drinks and feel good. And I'm just like, oh, man, you're the buzzkill. And man, I caved. I made a drink at night. That night, I made a drink. And that's where the magic happened, because I don't know what caused it. I'm not an overly religious person, really, at all. But that night, I took 2 or 3 sips of that drink, and I just didn't like it. I didn't like the taste. I didn't like how I felt. While that week that I had quit prior was a good-ish week, I still struggled. I still had cravings every night. Like that caving on Halloween night, that wasn't while I was like, oh, well, trick-or-treating and fun, man. Every night that week, I spent 10 minutes in front of the liquor cabinet after the kids had gone to bed. Literally 10 minutes just standing there in just silence, because I'm like, want to drink, and I'm like doing that fight every night led up to that. And that night I caved. So it was a week building. So yeah, I stayed sober, but I was very much, itching for it. And, but the night before Halloween, me and my wife had fun. We had fun together, and I was sober, and it was a good night. And it was the type of night where you'd think that was a night that normally would be a night that I was drinking on, and I didn't. And I enjoyed it, and I was in the moment. And something clicked. That Halloween, man, something clicked, because a couple sips in, I already started kind of feeling the effects of the alcohol a little bit.
Right.
And I didn't like it. It legitimately, it was the first time in my life that I just didn't, like, my body and my mind would just like rejected it beyond me. And since then I've never looked back. It's wild. It's weird. If that was divine intervention, I don't know, but something that night, man, and I just rejected it, and it just I never went back. It wasn't easy. It's actually, it's pretty easy for me now. I do still have moments, and as anybody in recovery will say, one day at a time, because just because it's been easy doesn't mean that
it's going to always be easy.
Yeah, exactly. So
now you mentioned that you said you needed help. Now, a lot of times people will try to do it on their own. Do you recommend that somebody gets into a program? I guess depending on the level of, does it depend on the level of the addiction, or should just anybody, if you feel like if the alcohol is taking control of you, that you should seek help from a professional?
So yeah, man, and here's something that I am also a pretty big advocate of, is that not everybody's journey is the same, needs to be the same, or should be the same. Now, there's plenty of schools of thought out there and beliefs out there that are different, but you got to do what works for you. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes a while for you to find it. I didn't do AA. I didn't. And I haven't even talked about Blue October yet. But man, if you follow me, if I have a religion, it's Blue October. That's a band. The lead singer, Justin, he is almost 10 years sober now.
Okay.
And worth looking into, because that I wouldn't be where I am without Blue October. So there's a lot of people in recovery that will say the same. So check them out. Look that up on your own.
Okay.
Changed my life. Beyond words, changed my life. But so it's tough because I had my wife to support me. I had music, which is my everything. I need it.
Your outlet.
I need it. I mean, it's literally I listen to music. I probably 90% of my waking day. That's not an exaggeration. And I'm sure other people are the same, but it's just everything to me. And I kind of made it through that. But I'm a big proponent that you should talk to somebody for sure. Whether it's your doctor, good place to start. Whether it's your spouse. Some people are in difficult situations where, again, I'm lucky. My wife is wonderful, and she's an amazing support system. Not everybody has that. Some people have the opposite. Some people are in a situation, whether it's through marriage or just family in general, where, whatever it is that may be going on, whether it's substance related or just, mental health, any other aspect of it that is shunned. They may get shut down when they reach out for help, and that's hard. So that's why I talk about what I talk about on social media so openly, is to try to be a beacon of light and hope for somebody that maybe doesn't have the same support system that I do, because I know that plenty of people out there exist that way. And that said, man, there's so much help out there. And just because my path didn't take me through to Alcoholics Anonymous or any other program out there, or church, right? It just wasn't part of, a lot of sobriety and recovery journeys circle around religion. And I'm very spiritual. And when you hear me talk about my story, I might talk about God, or I might talk about some sort of a divine intervention, whatever. And again, that's my journey. That's just who I am and how I get along with my life. but you should definitely, reach out because there's help out there. And the I Care movement, which is the mental health nonprofit that I own.
Okay.
That's one of them. That's just a support system. It's mainly a social media platform where we have a Facebook group people join, and it's just one big happy support system. There's no money or any subscriptions or anything crazy like that. It's just support system, people helping people,
Okay.
That's an amazing thing. But the main reason why I made all that is I put up a website with all the helplines, all the hotlines, all the everything, because it's hard. And I want, everybody knows of the National Suicide Hotline, but maybe they don't know the number. Everybody knows that there's substance abuse hotlines out there, but maybe they don't know. And if you're somebody that knows somebody that's struggling, or if you yourself are struggling, and, I just wanted one spot where I could put it all together. So literally we have the most basic website, #ICare.com. And it's like every single possible resource hotline ever is just like there. And that's an easy play for me to refer to people, because people do reach out to me, and like, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not whatever. I'll listen to you, but I don't have all the answers, and I'm like, check it out, go there, because there's people there that can help you. So yeah, I'm not saying that you need to join a program, but your story, your situation may require that. So I guess my message would be just be open-minded to doing whatever it takes to get you where you need to be. Don't stay stuck. Don't stay stuck in yesterday over pride. Pride for feeling weak for reaching out. Something else that happened during my sober journey is I that opened me up to get help with my depression. That's something I hardcore have battled with. That is something I've battled my entire life. Alcohol was a part of it, but also regardless, because one thing, and I knew when I was, that's one thing I always knew, is that like I had this thing, I had these demons, I had this just darkness and cloud that's just always over me. And I always knew that I couldn't fix or even begin to try to fix any of that while I was drinking. I knew the fix of that would never go hand in hand. And lo and behold, I a couple months into sobriety, this time when it stuck, you think, oh, I'm good. I was irritable because of my drinking, and I was depressed because of my drinking. And while alcohol and other substances can fuel all of that and make it, exponentially worse for sure, just quitting, that's not going to make that all go away. And I found that out very quickly, because you kind of get hopeful, like, oh, I'm going to be all perfect now, I'm sober. And well, not the case, because depression's depression, and it hit me and it hits others regardless. And one thing
the alcohol. Now, I would say you find out that alcohol wasn't the only problem.
Correct.
It's like once you remove the alcohol, it's like, oh, wait a minute, there's some other stuff going on. So,
and I took that step. And this is something, and I shared this too, and most people wouldn't. And most people would think I'm crazy for being this open. But literally, 3 months into sobriety, reached out to my doctor, and I said, hey, recently sober, battling depression. I'm having a really hard time with it, really struggling with it. I'd like to come in and talk. And that was just my primary care doctor. And guess what? It was great. We didn't have a counseling session. I just told him what's been going on. I told him what's up. And he said, okay, I think that this medication might help you. And he prescribed me Zoloft, and I've been on Zoloft since. And guess what? It changed my life. And I shared that, because so many people are, never mind the alcohol in the sobriety, but just the depression side of things. And like, especially men, the suicide rate with men in depression is crazy, and it's most of it's over pride, or like not willing not willing or
ego.
Yeah, to just have that talk and like, yo, changed my life, And in the moment when I was battling all that, I'm bullheaded too, and I'm not gonna be strong-headed. And I always thought my depression was like, man, that I used to be against, my younger kind of silly days, man. I used to be against medication, and I've never even considered it or never an option. I'm like, nah, man, this is my cards I dealt. Like, I'm meant to fight this. I'm meant to have this. Like, I should be able to tackle this. This is part of my life story. Man, you only live once. Be happy. I mean, I become, and that's what sobriety granted me. If not for anything else, is treatment for my depression. And sobriety obviously made me a better husband, better father, all that jazz. But but treating my depression, and that was the sneaky little golden ticket in all this, because that piece. Because even when I was sober, I was not the, I'm not saying I was a bad father, but you just can't function the way that you should. So that was a big piece of it too.
Yeah, but you mentioned we were talking about pride. I had a guest on a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about how as men we're taught to suppress these feelings, suppress these emotions, that we're supposed to be the toughest, and our pride should come first, and you should never show weakness. And a lot of times that leads to it, because it starts when we're young boys.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we grow, you're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to do this. You're going to be a man, and men don't do this. And so what happens is you suppress these things, and then you start to try to figure out how to deal with it. And sometimes it becomes a substance abuse, or it becomes uncontrollable anger, because you were never taught how to deal with it.
Right.
So you telling your story and letting go of the ego and letting go of the pride. That's what I was talking about earlier when I was introducing you, how we all have a story that we need to tell, but we won't tell it because we don't want to be judged, or we feel like it's our pride that gets in the way. So I appreciate you being so open. It's refreshing to see someone that can just, hey, this is me. This is what I've been through. Now there are certain aspects that I can't talk about, but the things that I
But I
can
would.
talk about,
And that's the
yeah,
thing. That I would.
I will. Now there may be a time when you can, and given the way you're going now, once you can tell that story,
Of course.
you ain't going to have no problem.
It's not even I am as open. I'm never going to find a more open book than me. And it's literally just, I can't self-incriminate myself, so I got to be a little
Right.
smart.
Yeah. Well, why would you do that? That would be crazy.
That's the only reason. Otherwise,
you're open, but you ain't no fool.
I would tell all of it. So again, most people can put two and two together, though.
Right.
But yeah, no, and you're spot on. Everybody has a story, and the beauty is that while everybody's story is unique and everybody's story is theirs, while you may not have an identical story, because it's just like no two snowflakes are the same, right? With anybody else out there. With that said, there are countless people that you would never even fathom, because when you get so stuck in your head and in the darkness and feeling alone, that's such a big part of it, is that feeling alone. Why am I like this? Why am I like this? Nobody else has to deal with this. You trick yourself into thinking that you are the outcast and that you are just like this random thing that's feeling how you feel, and you shouldn't feel that way. But there's countless people out there that if you told your story would be like, that's me. Yep. I hear you. And I've seen it happen, not just with my story, but just through different groups and channels and movements that I've been involved in on social media. I've seen it happen endless times. And the healing that comes from knowing or just hearing somebody else tell a story that you relate to. That's why I talk about Blue October and how it saved my life, because of the lead singer's story is almost identical to mine. And it's like, I feel that. I'm not alone. I get it. And you made it. And you're 10 years sober and you're happy and you're saying, wow, that's great. Yeah, and that I can do that. That gift is something where if Justin didn't tell his story, I can't say that I'd be sober today,
Right.
And I hate putting myself up on a pedestal, but I have, the people that have reached out to me privately in DMs and just saying, hey man, I am watching and thank you for talking about this. And like, because of you, I've done X, Y, Z. Because of you, I'm now 3 months sober. That's real. That's a real tangible ripple effect that happens from being open and from sharing your story. And for what? Like, why wouldn't you? People can judge you. Like, who cares? You know what I mean?
I
like,
mean, what are they
I
going to
guess
do?
people care. You know, I mean, don't, you know, but like, I have nothing to lose. I mean, I have everything to
Right.
lose, but I got nothing to lose. I got nothing to hide. You know,
Yeah.
be open. We all should,
Yeah.
because it just,
Yeah.
I like talking about it, because that's my therapy is being open and talking about it. Like, that's a huge piece for me, because I'm not keeping it in. But knowing that somebody could maybe, even if it's not a definite that somebody's going to take something, just the chance that you maybe help one person, and who knows what that one person on and
because
does.
there's somebody that's out here waiting just to hear your voice. And that is one of the reasons why I started this show, is to allow people the opportunity to share their story. You know, you never know who's listening. And like I said, there is somebody that's out there that needed to hear this from you. They may have heard it from 1,000 other people, but it never resonated until they heard it from somebody who's actually been through it and seen what can happen, and tell you how this works, and maybe that this could work for you, or how low you have gotten, how bad it was. And here you are telling your story, and maybe somebody out there will hear it. The person that needs to hear it will hear it, and they'll be like, oh, there it is right there. And they're able to make a life-changing decision. So I just think that is important for people to hear other people's stories.
No, 100%, right there with you. And I'll always push for that. And that's why when you reach out and you say, hey, will you come on and talk? I'm like, of course I will. Like I said, you got a week or you got an hour, because I'll go.
Well, I like I said, you know, you were just going, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna let him go. And
I tend to do that, so don't ever hesitaate to cut me off, because I will.
But see, you were on such a roll that I'm like, okay, if I stop him here, I don't want to change the direction. You know, I wanted you to be able to just share whatever it is, because I see that this is something that you enjoy doing. That you and when I said in the introduction that you'll gladly share it with anybody who will listen, this is what I was talking about. Whoever wants to hear it, you don't have a problem sharing it, and you know, you don't have so much pride. You know, you have some people that have so much pride, they're like, man, I can't tell this. I just can't. You know, I got to keep. Why are you keeping it to yourself? Somebody out there needs to hear that story. They need to hear it, because they're going through the same thing, and it will be therapeutical for you as well, because now you understand that it's not just you. Now you got two people that understand it's not just them, and so now you got something to work with.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story, and it's an amazing story. You know, some people be like, "Oh, he quit drinking for a year." Okay, if you have that problem, how about you try it for a week and see, you know, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, and you know, and it may not be alcohol. It could be chemicals. It could be anything. You know, an addiction is an addiction, and until you walk the mile in someone's shoes, you don't understand. I used to smoke cigarettes. I had to quit. I had a heart attack back in 2010, and it wasn't because my daughter said, I mean, my doctor said I need to quit. It was because my daughter told me, she said, Dad, if I ever see you with another cigarette, it's going to be a problem. And hearing that from her, as opposed to hearing it from my doctor, because, you know, you could tell the doctor anything, but with her, you know what? I'm done. I haven't had a cigarette since November of 2010. It's a great thing. Um, you know, I know other people that smoke, and I tell them, you will quit when you're ready. I've never been one to say, hey, I quit smoking, you need to quit. Whenever you're ready to do that, is when you're ready. You'll know when you're ready. It's not for me to be judgmental and tell you all these things.
Right. And one thing I'll say, man, is that so many people wait till rock bottom, and you don't have to either. You know, it's tough. I see a question from Pacertron.
Yeah, he said
that's my buddy. That's my buddy. So
okay, cool.
He's being a lot of people. We have a garlic bread. We have a garlic bread inside joke. Him and I. So he's actually coming. He's actually on here supporting me. So much love.
That's great. Hey, I appreciate it.
Yes, Pacertron. Garlic bread is absolutely an acceptable focus. If that is something that you can focus on and you get some joy out of, and it allows you to positively, release some of that energy, go for it. What was I going to say? I had something. Rock bottom. I lost it, but it was good. I promise you, it was good.
Let's see if I can help you. You were saying something about. Okay. About everybody hits a rock bottom.
You don't have to wait. Yeah, man. You don't have to wait for rock bottom. I lost it. It's okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's all right.
Yeah. Now, you say you run marathons.
Yeah,
I saw a couple of. I was following you on Instagram. I saw a couple of. How did you get into that? And is that part of your therapy for sobriety?
It definitely was, and it's funny. And that's why I say, man, everybody's journey is a little bit different. And it changes, and it's okay if it changes. Running was definitely and what Pacertron's talking about with the garlic bread, where he said some of us are talk about fitness and sobriety, and that's spot on. It for me, it's huge, and it's like almost like trading one addiction for another, because running, anything can become an addiction, and running took over my life, but it was a healthy outlet. Now you can do things to an unhealthy level for sure. But for me, it was healthy, and it was something to focus on. It's something to be proud of. And of course, you remember Forrest Gump, right?
Yeah.
And he's going on his run, and he's running and running, and he's talking about when he runs past the lake and the sky was on top of itself, and in Forrest's poetic way. I love Forrest Gump, by the way, and I think the character, I think he's a genius, and some people disagree with me, but different story. Either way, so the way that he poetically talked about, the looking around you, and it's one of those things that when you're sober, that life has so much more beauty to it, and that's one thing that really started hitting me, and I still love it. Is looking around, and life has color, right? Life is colorful. And I just started noticing, because the blue skies and the green trees, and just like something about sobriety and running for me, may not be the same case for anybody else, and that's okay. But for me, was just so beautiful. No other way to put it. It was just, I viewed it as such a blessing to be able to be doing what I was doing. And the marathon training just kind of went hand in hand. My buddy, who's actually a pastor down south in Florida, I met him on Instagram, and we are BFFs now. But he was training, he was running, and we're talking about our running, and I wasn't training for marathon, and he kept talking about his marathon that he was coming up for. And eventually I was like, man, I'm going to do it with you. And I just started training and getting it done. And that was it. And it couldn't have happened at a better time. Me reigniting my running. I ran all through high school, track, cross country, like all that. So I was a runner in my younger days. My dad, God bless, also a runner. I was telling Unc before we came on live, I just ran my first marathon this year. It was my 37. Man, my dad ran a marathon in his early 60s. Literally, not a joke, 2 hours faster than the marathon I just ran at 37. So my dad's a big runner. Our whole family read. So yeah, man, it was in my blood. But no, something about there was a spirituality to it that was just amazing, and I could go on that for hours. So I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. But yeah, take a little bit of a break. I ran one marathon by myself here in Maine, which is beautiful. I just ran like Forrest Gump, just through towns. Made sure I ran 26.2. And then I ran a marathon down to Florida with my buddy. Talk about night and day. Maine in the winter, and then Florida heat. Couldn't find a bigger contrast, but pulled it off.
Okay. Now, one more thing. Mandalorian.
Yes, Mando.
I love that show.
Love Mando. I just posted. Yeah. I just posted about it. So I watched Mando.
That's what made me think about it. I saw the post and that picture. I love that picture.
So good, so awesome. Yeah. Yes. So I've seen, of course, all the Star Wars stuff. My wife, she hasn't. But she asked me to watch Mandalorian, or maybe I asked her. I don't remember. Either way, she watched the whole. I had already watched it by myself. I've seen it all. But yeah, we just binged it. She liked it. And we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to Boba Fett next.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's my next one too. I haven't seen it yet. Out.
I haven't seen it. I've heard that. Now Boba Fett's character I thought he was pretty awesome. In the couple episodes he was in Mandalorian, so I'm looking forward to it because he seemed kind of like, you watch Walking Dead. He kind of reminded me of Morgan from Walking Dead.
Yes,
very like just very stoic and very like got that presence about him, like
like I ain't taking no mess, and we're gonna do this. This is how we're gonna do this. I said what I said, So yeah, but I really liked that show. I was like, man, this is great, and the little
honor to it. There's an honor
Yoda.
To it.
Yes,
there's an honor to it. There's an honor to the code. It's a good show. I love it.
Oh yeah. So I like Star Wars stuff too, and I'm like, man, this is.
It was cool. What really kind of made it, and it was fun to go back and watch it a second time. But when I was first going through it, what I really loved about that show was that while the storyline continued,
yes,
every episode was so different. You know what I mean? Like, and that kept it so, because they didn't have to do it that way. They could have very much made it so it was just kind of this static thing. Every episode was so different, but
you had a story within the story.
Yeah, everyone was like, it was almost like different directors even. I know John Favreau directed it all, but like just so cool, like that to have that such contrast in one show, but have the story still move. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, you follow Yoda, but you saw the other stuff that was going on in the background. It's like, okay,
fighting spiders.
We got to.
One episode you're fighting spiders. The next episode you got the thing in the cave that you're trying to blow up. The next episode you're having a sword fight with whatever her name is, not Bo-Katan, but the Jedi that they went to see. But
but they did that. They kept it interesting. Is what they really did, and I mean it was very well done. And I kind of like special effects stuff to see how I sometimes watch these old shows when they like the old Batman, and then I look at the new Batman. I'm like, man, technology has really, you look at these shows, you're like, oh, that looks kind of crazy, but as a kid, it was fascinating. But
old school Batman, the first one, Michael Keaton, like I remember watching that as a kid in the Batmobile when it's driving through. It's like, whoa.
Now, I go back a little further to the original with Adam West.
Yeah.
That was and there was a show that came out called Ultraman. And I looked at it the other day, and I'm like, this really fascinated me. I mean, the special, it looked so goofy. You got this guy with this suit on, and you could tell that the monsters aren't real. But when I was a kid, it was the most fascinating thing ever. I'm like, man, this is cool. But now it's like technology.
One of my favorite Saturday morning cartoons when I was a kid, and I think these were I think these were replays because I think it was before my time show, but Mighty Mouse.
Yes.
Mighty Mouse was awesome. I feel like that might have been like a 50s or 60s show. I was born in 84. And I think it was just that Mighty Mouse. It was always Little Rascals and then like Mighty Mouse back to back.
Yep.
And it was awesome.
And who was the other guy? Speedy Gonzalez.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that a lot of those shows would pan out in today's
political arena. Definitely wouldn't. They would have to. They would because I noticed that they're bringing some of these shows back.
But they gotta rein it in.
Yeah, they're reinventing them, and you're like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, that's just not going to work for me. Some things you just should just leave alone.
Yeah, or let it be and just let it retire into the abyss.
Yeah, but I want to thank you, Shawn, for sharing your story. Finally, we got a chance to get this done. I really appreciate you, and congratulations on your sobriety. Congratulations to your wife on her sobriety. I'm truly pulling for both of y'all. I would definitely be in touch because I'll be following you and sending little notes and stuff like that, because there's some I want to learn a little bit about marketing. Because there's some things I want to do for my show, and so if I could just pick your brain a little bit and get some information.
Man, you got me. I got you always. It's fun. I love marketing. I love that world. I mean, it's what I do. But what I'll leave everybody and you, Unc, with is this. Probably my favorite saying. I don't know if I made it up or if I heard it from somewhere, so I won't take claim for it, but I say it all the time. And that is that you got to fight for the tomorrow that you don't know exists yet. Because trust me, it's there. I'm proof of it.
Makes sense.
And again, if you would have told me 10 years ago that I'd be where I'm at right now, doing what I'm doing right now, would never in a million years believe you. I could barely afford I was getting evicted from apartments. I mean, I couldn't even afford a $600 apartment. Just always drunk off my ass, always just doing stupid shit. And like, that was 10 years ago. I mean, I can't even say. So you just got to fight. That's one thing that I will give credit for myself. While I made a lot of stupid mistakes in my days, one thing I never did is I never quit. I never gave up. There were plenty of days where I wanted to, but I did keep fighting. And here I am. And I didn't know this future existed. I didn't even know what I was fighting for, but I knew I had to fight. And that's my message to y'all, man, because it's so true. You just got to keep fighting. And it's hard. It's hard. It's taken me so long to get to where I'm at today with so many ups and downs and so many setbacks. But you got to fight. You got to fight.
And you had to go through.
It's hard when you're feeling despair, and it's hard when you're feeling hopeless to believe. And somebody like me who's telling you, like, yo, man, just keep fighting. Just keep fighting. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. When you're in the moment, you don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it. And I get it. But just keep fighting, because I promise you it's worth it. This world needs you. There's people in the future that you don't even know yet that need you. Just keep fighting.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you. And again, thank you for being a guest. And like I said, we'll be in touch. All of your information is in the description. So if anybody wants to know where to find Shawn, just check the description. It's there. Whatever websites that I could find.
I know you did good, man. You did your homework. I'm like, oh, dude
Thank you.
even found my warm clothing's website.
Oh yeah, I was determined that I was going to find some kind of footprint. I'm like,
you did a good job.
There's got to be some stuff, so that we need to be able to talk and discuss other things other than I don't want to be just sitting here and you're like, gee, this guy, he don't know what he's doing. So
Nah, man, you're good.
even if I didn't know what I was doing, I had to make it look like I knew what I was doing. So
That's right.
I really appreciate you. Like I said, I'll be in touch, and thank you so much. And uh, take care. We're going to send all the positive energy we got to your dad and your mom, and everything is going to be all right.
I appreciate that. And he's going to like watching this. He's going to like
All
watching.
righty. Okie
All right.
dokie.
Have a
And
good
thanks
night.
again, Shawn. You do
You
the
got it.
same. That is Shawn Flynn, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, Shawn. Thank you. Thank you all for coming in and sharing this show with me. It was a great thing. I will see you all not next Tuesday. I forgot when my next guest is, but there has been a schedule change. I'll be doing every other Tuesday. My life schedule has changed, so I'll be coming on every other Tuesday. But I will be posting and letting you know when each show is coming. So thank you all so much. I will see you all next time. And remember to be happy on purpose and know that I believe in you, believe in you too. Peace. Good night, everybody.